Hey there, boys and girls of the YouTube world. Today, the Duff Dog and I are going to see if we can't get this 1964 Chevelle ElCamino back on the road. I picked this thing up a couple of years ago at an auction sale for a song. It was somebody's failed project. The chassis looked like it's restored, and then the body was kind of just set back together and never completed. So I want to get a drivetrain in this thing, get the front end bolted back on, bumpers on it, seats bolted down, steering hooked back up. See if we can't get it back on the road. The first thing we're gonna do is get a drivetrain for this thing. And here is another reason why we're gonna work on the aforementioned hot rod. This thing's got a small block Chevy in it. Small block Chevy. It's been sitting in the yard for 3 years, and I wanna get rid of this eyesore. So there's a couple parts I wanna save, but mainly I've been saving it for the 350 Chevy and the Turbo 400. So let's get this thing wheeled in the shop and destroy the Country Squire. We could make it into a new office. I was gonna save the chrome bumper, but it's got a dinger in it. And it'll probably be more dinged up by the time we get this hot rod into the shop. Definitely save that chrome grille because it's the same as Chevy vans. And then we'll have a Country Squire shaped room for activities. And no, this thing is not livable. You can buy these things for like 2,500 bucks all day long up here that are functional-ish, way better than this piece of crap. So don't think I'm wasting a perfectly good Country Squire motorhome. This week's video sponsor is Coveron. Here's something most people don't think about. Scams today are designed to confuse you. They're designed to take your money fast. We're talking about bank accounts, credit cards, savings, gone within minutes. In recovery, that can take months or years. Most of us still think this happens to other people. It doesn't anymore. Fraud is part of everyday life online, and the tools you're probably using right now, antivirus, password managers, bank alerts, they can detect a threat, but none of them can guarantee one thing: getting your money back. That's exactly the gap Coveron closes. Coveron combines identity and financial protection, online privacy, and data removal into one full spectrum safety net. But what makes it different isn't just the bundle, it's what happens after something goes wrong. Real financial coverage for identity theft, online fraud, and cyber extortion. Plus real people who guide you through every step of recovery so you're not figuring it out alone. And with AI-generated scams that look completely normal, no typos, no red flags, just one message that feels routine, Coveron monitors your accounts and personal data in real time, alerting you before a small incident turns into a full takeover. Tools reduce risk, Coveron reduces loss. Use promo code Mortske at coveron.com/Mortske to get started. Thank you to Coveron for sponsoring this week's video. Now back to your regularly scheduled shenanigans. Get your hands all sticky?
Yes.
Square body life. So that's one thing we're saving. It's got the tilt wheel with the shifter up there, so it's pretty much the same as a 67 to 72. It does not have the ignition switch on the column like a square body. It's also got yellow plug wires, HEI, quadrajet, and headers. And some pretty swanky high back plaid seats as well. We're not saving those. And only 59,082 miles on it. Low mileage.
She's a 77 model, if that's what this goes by. June 14, I think it was yesterday.
It's the 15th.
Of 77.
So yeah, 77 model. Printed in Canada. She's a Canadian version.
Yeah, looks like you got some water leakage. You might need a hose, eh? Jose, Roberto, whatever.
Explains all the Scotch locks down there. And the spray foam, yep. DD Speed Shop himself. Wire nuts, oh my gosh, it's got everything. So if you've never pulled an engine from a van, real treat. You can get like the bell housing bolts stuff through the doghouse, but not a lot of room up here. And since we're not putting this thing back together, which I've never successfully reinstalled an engine in a van. So you just get out the Sawzall and the torch, just murder this thing. I had this thing running a few years ago, but before that, she'd been off the road since November 2008. The old recession. You remember the Great Recession of 2008?
I was still in high school.
You were still living in your parents' house.
Bingo. This thing pulled the wheels, remember? Ooh,
Yes.
wintertime.
All right, let's get after it. Magnetic tray for all the hardware that we're gonna just throw away when we're done anyway, but enjoy that cricket in the background because they're supposed to spray tomorrow. No, the cricket is not spraying. The bug and spider guy is gonna spray for the cricket. And it won't be for his health. Ooh, got a little wasp nest in there. Well, I guess we got to take the bumper off to get at the lower bolts. We're going to do the radiator support bolts while we're at it. Now, if only that silly bumper wasn't in the way, we'd have the grill out of there. It's gas axe time. Bumper delete. 60% of the time it works every time.
60% of the time, it works every time.
Now, can we get at all the grill bolts? Voila, one chrome grill. Hit us up, mortskerepair@gmail.com if you really need this thing. You gotta come get it though and bring some cash, because I ain't shipping it. Now, can we get the Sawzall out? I suppose the AC's gotta charge. We gotta get that condenser out of there. Not a snowball's chance in hell that this thing's got AC refrigerant in it, is there? Oh, a little bit, a little bit. I mean, it definitely didn't have a charge. Don't worry, Greta, no charge.
How dare you!
You ever seen them fancy hose clamps that they use for refrigerant lines? Now you have. Ruining a van, ruining a van. Everybody on YouTube's gonna be so mad that I ruined this motorhome. Are you guys ready to do some Sawzalling? I am. Not with a drill though. Big dog. I think these are Diablo blades that are expensive. You know why they're expensive? Because they're worth it. Here we go. I'm gonna even try to save the wire harness. Keyword, try. Protect your ears, kids, because you can only hear dual exhaust once. And start with the deadest battery in the entire shop. Stay. Try number 2. We may as well say this condenser, it's probably worth tens of cents in aluminum. And we know it's good because it still kind of had a little spurt of pressure. Just a little bit, not enough to be environmentally unfriendly. I'm sure they just let all the Freon out before they parked it. I mean, recovered it before they parked it, you know, to be friendly to the environment. Protect your eyes, because you can't hear tatas. Don't hit the radiator, dummy. Again, not the correct way to remove an engine in a van if you're ever going to put it back together. Also, the beauty of having a motorhome, you can huck all the scrap right back inside of it. Back to where you come from. Look at that, save the wire harness. Oh, we should try to save a radiator now. I'm already regretting trying to save this wire harness. What's it even for, the headlights? Yeah, headlights. Cutting it. You are the weakest link. Goodbye.
You are the weakest link. Goodbye.
Imagine doing a water pump on one of these. Terrible. Probably gonna want to catch the coolant. Or at least make an attempt. Oh, I did cut through the speedometer cable. Whoopsies. Either the petcock is plugged or there's no coolant in this thing. You know, we're doing this for the engine. Hopefully I didn't fill it full of water. We ran it in the winter. I wouldn't have done that, would I have? These bracket bolts aren't 3/8. 77 must be that half metric, half standard year. Awesome. But I bet you're a 10 millimeter. Yep. Okay, there's definitely coolant up there. Petcock must be plugged. It's okay, we're catching it all of it contained. We're gonna try to save the transmission cooler lines here. And the reason that we wanna do that is because if we're using this transmission and we're using this radiator, provided the radiator's in the same location as we're putting it in here, we should be able to use these transmission cooler lines. And if you cut them, then you gotta put a chunk of rubber in there or replace them. And we're on a budget here, so save yourself some money. Take a little time, don't round them off, heat them up so that you don't twist the line off. And then you got yourself a free pair of perfectly fit factory transmission cooler lines. Not saying that this radiator's gonna work for our application, but if it does, we'll have the cooler lines. Well, it's a lot more room than we had previously. Oh, that's bolted in? Oh, this just snaps in, right? Save that. Not busted fan shroud. Not much to see up here. We can get at the power steering lines, and we can also disconnect the bottom end of our steering column and then hook the shifter and all that so we can shoot that steering column up the top and save that. If we wanted to get real crazy, we could put air conditioning on that thing, or we could use this thing as a compressor for onboard air, for airbags, or putting air wrenches and whatnot. Pumping up tires. Check this out. Pretty sure those are original belts. GM, made by Dayco for the alternator belt. Same deal on the power steering. Factory GM belts from 1977. That's pretty neat. That's pretty neat. Get this power steering pump out of there. This is kind of a special one. Not because it's got a dual groove pulley, because it's got 3 hoses. That's right, this thing's got hydro boost. So yeah, this goes up to your master cylinder, and then pressure goes down to your power steering, and then you got a return from the master and a return from the power steering. So kind of a special setup there. Special doesn't mean it's valuable. It's different. Ooh, it's got the special extra pulley up front for the air conditioning. It's add-on air, it wasn't factory air, add-on. I think we can get at one engine mount bolt from up here. Other than that, I think we're about wrapped up here. Now it's stuff inside the stinky mouse cabin that is Country Squire, and going underneath and disconnecting shift linkage and drive line, and speedometer cable, and transmission crossbar, all that. And I don't think my lift is going to be very happy lifting this, so we got to do it the old-fashioned way, on our backs. And then we still got to figure out how to get that out of here. I think if you were doing it the right way, I think you sneak them out the passenger door, just the engine, not the engine and transmission like we're gonna do. Doesn't sound like much fun, does it? But if you torch out the cross member down there and this cross member up here, you can get her to drop out the bottom. Let's get down inside the cab as fast as we can, because it is stinky. This thing's got aftermarket air. It's also got aftermarket cruise. So we might try to save all that stuff, because you know, it'll be worth $1 on my auction. Stuck on the sector, I'm gonna go get a pry bar, pop that off. Oh yeah, 167 to 72, tilt column ready to go. The connector is slightly different on vans, I know, but that's why I saved the end of the connector so we can modify it to work in a pickup. All right, now for the distributor cap. And I also determined we're gonna have to take the headers off, so I took the plug wires off already. Yeah, that's right, this thing's race car, race van. Yellow plug wires, which were held on with high temp RTV. It's got headers, that's why I was doing wheelies the other winter. But we gotta take these long tube headers off, because there ain't no way we're sneaking this small block Chevy and Turbo 400 out. I also took the gas pedal out of here, because that's got the kick down built into it, because Turbo 400s are electronic. Since we don't have power brakes, we don't have a power brake booster port. Oh, well, nice part about vans, you can sit in the seat and work on your quadrijet. Oh. Sweet baby Jesus, it's got the Pertronix flamethrower ignition module in it. This thing's gonna be so frickin' fast. I think our work up here is done. Let's go underneath and do all that. Too fat to roll underneath this thing. So, use our air jack and lift her up a bit. Where's a good spot to lift? Sway bar. I think we're ready to attempt to try to pull this thing out of there. Headmans. Oh yeah, nothing but the finest. They ain't even all dinged up. And the hardware was loose, of course, and the plug wires were burnt off. You know, typical header stuff. We're gonna have to get creative with the old cherry picker here. We can't have that much angle dangle on there. We gotta hook straight to that lift plate. because it's freaking tight in there. Tight spaces. Here we go. There we go. You don't even have to worry about spilling ATF because this has the bolt-in rear yoke. I think that TH475 they call it. Well, we got a little more room to go. Now she's touching. What's your problem? There we go. That feels like a wire. What did we forget? What did we forget? Oh, battery cables. How about now? Oil filter? We're gonna clear that? I don't think the oil filter or the transmission bell housing are gonna clear those engine stands. So we're gonna eliminate either one or both of those to give ourselves some clearance. Oh, sure enough, poked a hole in the oil filter. Whoopsies. Hey, it's nice clean oil though. Now we should have clearance.
We have clearance, Clarence.
Phew, she's out of there. Ready to clean her up, stick it into something else. I guess engine oil and grease is flammable. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. All right, Mr. Country Squire. I think and hope we're done with you. Good riddance. Now that we got the drivetrain out of the Country Squire, let's get this thing drug out of the weeds, into the shop, and get that 350 Turbo 400 shoved into place. She's inside. Gotta move those. I think the front clip is pretty much held on by hopes and dreams. Yet no body mounts up here. So let's just go ahead and take that off, get it out of the way. And then we'll have so much room to stick an engine with headers on it in here. I bet those mounts are for a 6-cylinder. You don't like those 2x4 body mounts?
They're not factory, but I think they probably do.
Should use green treat. So it's got an aftermarket tilt steering column in it, but it doesn't have a column shifter. It was a factory clutch pedal 3 on the tree car. Factory column is in there. But yeah, this is a frame off. The frame's all painted and the body's just sitting on there. But it's got new shocks, it's got new ball joints, it's got new wheel cylinders, it's got new sway bar end links. I would assume it's got tie rod ends and control arm bushings. Yeah, they're not even painting back up. The firewall's even painted. Unfortunately, this is what happens with most frame off restorations. People get this far, maybe get the engine rebuilt, and then it sits in a million pieces. Like this, and then guys like me have to come along and hodgepodge it back together and try to figure out where all the missing parts are. Also, I noticed that we taped the windshield in. I forgot about that. So we need to get a seal for the windshield. Looks like they maybe did some rust repairs up there while they had the windshield out, but I'm gonna go order a body mount kit and a windshield seal and hope they're here on time. Probably should have pressure washed this all off too, but ain't nobody got time for that.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
It'll blow off because this thing's gonna be fast and it's got those headers on it.
Should put a blower motor in it.
Ooh.
Yeah, and we got to figure out where the HVAC box is, where all the wiper stuff is, where the hardware for that is. Master cylinder. I mean, I don't know if the brake pedals are in there. Fun. There's a box of parts inside we'll have to go through. Body mounts are on order. It looks like the windshields are taped in with butyl tape or glued in, so not a big deal. We should have something around here for that. We gotta take a look at this thing to make sure that there's not some body mounts in there, or who knows what else is in there that we need. And I don't want to order duplicates because I don't plan on restoring any other 64 ElCaminos. 64 was the first year of the second gen ElCamino. They took a break from 61 to 63. 59 first year, 60 the second year, and they took a break. Those were full-size cars built on the Impala chassis. 64 they came back out on the A-body chassis, the Chevelle or Malibu. So I picked up a selection of bumpers at the auction. It also came with this quarter panel off of a station wagon to fix that. Yeah, not so good. This guy was a body guy that had it last. The guy that had it before did all the chassis work, I'm told. Looks like we got some trim and a drive shaft. Let's go ahead and empty the contents of the cabin, see if there's anything that we might need later. All right. Here's a box of new parts that has no doubt been rained on and filled with snow and everything else over the time that I've had this thing, because there's no driver's window in it. Looks like we got some visors, A-pillar covers probably. Taillight, we're gonna need that. Oh, but that's the right side. We need the left side. Son of a. Brake hoses, definitely gonna need those. North Dakota license plate from 1980. Tell you what I'm gonna do, put my Herbie Hancock on that. I'm gonna do the same thing with the license plates off the motorhome and any other license plates we find in this debacle. We're gonna throw it in with some t-shirt orders. So head on over to mortske.com, get yourself a t-shirt or a sweatshirt or a button-up flannel or a button-up Floyd Cotterpin shirt. We'll throw this in there. Or maybe even a brand new 4th of July shirt if we got some available. Get yours at mortske.com. New transmission mount. Oh yeah. Throttle linkage, gas pedal. That's the push rod and return spring for the brake pedal. Gonna need that. I think that's the gas pedal stuff. Oh, that's all been blasted and painted. Nice. Oh, it is bagged and tagged. Right front brake line bracket. Front left brake line bracket. Lower A-arm, both sides. I hope those bolts are in the lower A-arms. Well, no body mounts. We got more to go through. 3 on the tree steering column. Oh, that's the other thing to go with the stock column, because then you can use the stock wire harness. You don't have to modify nothing. And you can get parts for it. If the blinker switch goes out on that, you just buy one. If the bearings go out in it, you can buy all that stuff because it's a GMA body. Gauge cluster. Oh, look at all these goodies. Be a body mount kit. Save me 80 bucks. There's the new heater core, aluminum, not copper. Heater box, inner and outer, mirror, correct one. This thing's got some aftermarket silliness. Brand new blower motor, no body mounts. Like I said, this guy was a body guy, so I don't know if he did the floors in this thing, but this thing's got really nice floors, or maybe that's why he bought it, because it's got nice floors in it. These are 63.4 Impala buckets, so they're not right for this car. I mean, they're a desirable seat, especially when they're in black velour, but check those floors out. I mean, they've been replaced, but they did it right. So, looks like we got a harness already in here. Never mind the bird's nest. Again, driver's window open. Didn't help the door panel. Hey, the window's in there. We just got to get her to go up. Yeah, I don't think the seats, yeah, definitely not bolted in. Let's go do some pressure washing and see if we can't get this thing grafted in there. If I would have been thinking ahead of time, I would have got engine mounts for a V8 for this thing, but wasn't thinking. Imagine that. Never am. And maybe these are V8 mounts that they put in there, but I feel like they're not. I know this was a 6-cylinder car. The son of the previous owner told me that. Oh man, our new paint job's flaking off. Brand new everything. This thing's gonna be so good. Maybe we can modify those. We'll see. I got a welder. We got some 2x4s. We'll make something work. Let's go do some pressure washing. That way, we're at least not putting a greasy motor in our restored Barrett Johnson chassis. Insert enthusiastic dance music now. Engine and transmission are all nice and pretty clean. Chin was all excited. Oh, it's got a new pan gasket. And then we determined that it's just DD Speed Shop blueberry goo. No doubt that's gonna leak. Let's take the body off and figure out this engine mount debacle from there. Sure enough, held on by gravity. God, that didn't fly off on the way home. Well, the good news is they only snapped off about half the body mount bolts, so we'll have to address that in order to put it back together. That should be fun. But this thing is super solid underneath. There's a little bit of rust in one of the body mounts. Other than that, it's pretty dang solid for Podunk, North Dakota material. But the fuel tank smells horrendous. And I don't have one of those laying around, so it's probably gonna be a boat tank. I did find a restored transmission cross member in the bed, underneath all the bumpers and quarter panel. Looks like there's 1, 2, 3 mounting locations. So maybe that'll help us dictate where this sets. I don't know if you could get one of these with a turbo 4. No, they didn't have a turbo 464. I think everything was 3 speeds, 4 speeds, power glides. No turbo 350s, no turbo 400. But we got it at least. Let's slide the old motorhome engine and transmission in there and see if we can't get her burned in place. And also, the 6-cylinder in this thing probably was a 230, could have been a 250. Basically same bell housing, bolt pattern as a small block Chevy. This is our pivot for our clutch. And that's what that hole is. Those two should line up. So I'm going to use that to line this up, and it should be in the factory position when we get done. We're going to power through this, but what I'm going to do next is center up the transmission, and then I got to center up the front of the engine, and then I'll get that sitting level, and then we'll weld our mounts in. So let me show you what we got to do there. So there's our transmission mount, and there's the mount on the frame. So I'm going to cut this off, and then we're going to move it back to where it needs to be. We're going to tack her in place, and then we'll get that transmission centered up, and then that'll set our height. And we got to get our carburetor level. We can always shim that up a little bit if we need to. That's why we're just going to tack it. Remind me, just tack that cross member. Well, once we get that in place, then we can center the engine up left and right via the crankshaft. It's not super critical, but the closer, the better. And then we'll go ahead and level the carburetor and start doing some welding. So let's get these transmission mount tabs cut off there. These were for a 3-speed, but I would imagine they would fit 4 speeds and power glides as well. But a great big 400 must be a little bit longer. And I could take a piece of angle iron and just extend this out, but you know, there's this nice paint here, so we might as well cut it off. This would have been so much easier if I'd have just put a 6-cylinder back in this thing. If you're gonna do a frame off like this, and you plan on using a different engine and transmission, which I think these guys were, judging how they put an automatic steering column. Maybe they're gonna go with floor strip, but anyway, get everything mocked up, so you're not cutting nice, freshly painted parts off to re-weld off your freshly painted chassis. We got dimensions from another factory V8 car, so I got the engine set fore and aft where we want it to be. So I'm gonna go ahead and burn this transmission cross member into place, and that'll be done. Oh yeah, I'm just gonna tack it. Let's see if my tacks hold. There we go. Transmission is where it's got to be. Now to do the same with the engine. Basically all we're going to do is center the crankshaft up between the frame rails and then level out the carburetor. And we're going to have to do some welding. Fabricating, my favorite. After much debate with the engine mounts, I'm gonna use the old clamshells. There's a better design. We got it to where it needs to be, so you can always bolt the original style in, but these are a way better design. I'm gonna weld them to the crossover. I don't really like that, but there's not any real room to bolt them, and welding them is gonna be just fine. We used to do it all the time in demolition cars, and those things were taking way more abuse than this ever is. So let's get out the Miller 200, do some burning. Give you a little beforehand look. It actually should come up a little bit, so I could put a spacer in there, but I don't want to raise it up a bunch because it's already got plenty of clearance on the crossmember. We could bring the transmission down to get it level. And we don't know how this car's going to sit once the body's on it, and then once we get it to ride height. Because you know me, this isn't going to be ride height. We got to make it lower. We're going to have bigger tires in the back and smaller ones on the front, so we're just going to get it close. I've never had a car that didn't run good because the carburetor wasn't sitting level. I mean, it's ideal to have it level, but you ain't got to have it level. So let's see some burning. She's all burned in place. And if you're worried about my welds, we got the whole car hanging in the air via my engine mounts. So I think they'll be just fine. Tech tip of the day, these clamshells are two pieces of metal, so you gotta weld them together or put bolts in there to hold them together. Otherwise they can come apart, and then your engine mount isn't an engine mount if you're not bolting it in, if you're welding it like I did. So make sure to weld around that seam, top and bottom. Anyway, that's done. Wonder what these had for exhaust manifolds. I feel like a center dump ain't gonna clear. We're gonna have to have the rear dumps sneak them down and around. There you can see just how much the transmission is higher than the engine. It's about, what, 1/6 of a bubble? So ideally the engine would come up a little bit, but I didn't feel like making a spacer, so we could drop the transmission down. Or we could just frickin' run it, which is what we're gonna do. Because like I said, the angle of the chassis is gonna change with tire size, with air shocks, with load. That's the other thing is, so say you're doing this on a pickup, every time you throw something in the back, that angle of the pinion and the drive line and the carburetor is changing every time you go up a hill or down a hill or on an incline or hit a bump. It's changing. So ideally it would be level, but it'll be just fine the way that it is. And if we got to adjust it, we'll cut those mounts out, shim it up, or move that transmission mount down just a little bit. So it'll be just fine. We're within spec. So as nice as it is having a 2-post lift, it's really dark underneath a 1964 ElCamino. We got some work to do on the bottom side of that. We gotta drill and tap a bunch of these body mounts. We gotta take that fuel tank out. It is stinky. Hopefully we can clean it. We gotta at least drain it, check what's in there. But in the meanwhile, let's roll this thing out of there, measure up for a drive shaft, and try to get some shift linkage figured out, at least the pivot down here. Make sure our brake lines are all in there. We can do front brake hoses. We can do the line in between them and the T. Looks like we're missing shocks, so I need to get some of those coming. Yeah, we can do all that. In the light. So this bad boy's got what I call a bolt-on rear yoke because it's a TH475. Turbo 400 has a slip yoke. This doesn't slip, it bolts in. But we can convert it, and that's what we got to do because as the rear suspension goes up and down, the drive shaft length gets shorter and longer, and you got to have a slip yoke to slide in and out because if you got to fix the length, it's going to bind and probably take out your transmission because the weight of the car is stronger than the tail housing on the transmission or the output shaft. So we're going to take this guy out and replace it with a slip yoke. On the motorhome, this doesn't have slide in and out because it's got a multi-piece drive shaft and there's a slip yoke built into that. Your worthless information of the day. I think this is a Turbo 400 yoke. Let's make a mess. It's the same length. Bada bing, bada boom. That's bottomed out. So we want to have it out a little bit further than that. Now we're going to get our tape measure out and measure from the center of that U-joint to the center of this U-joint. And that'll tell us how long of a drive shaft we need. 57 3/4 looks like. Maybe 57 and 5/8. We'll call it 57 and 5/8. Hopefully I got something that length in the stash, and we can throw a couple of U-joints in there. I guess we're going to have bastard joints because the joint that's in the drive shaft probably is going to match what we got here, and the U-joints are not going to match between the Turbo 400 shaft and the rear end. But you never know. Found a shaft I think is going to work. We got to put some U-joints in it. The good news is the yoke that I found has already got a bastard joint in it, set up for a 369. And this thing's set up for 369, so we're going to put a new 369 joint down there and put our correct yoke down here. This is for like a, I don't know, 3-speed. Speaking of 3-speeds, the factory drive shaft came with, it was 2 inches too long, 1 7/8, so that's why we're not using that one. Go buy yourself a Duramax flatbed. They make great drive shaft benches. All right, the moment of truth, whether I can read a tape measure or not. That's it, go in there, baby. I think it's gonna work. Yeah, we're not painting my welds on the transmission mounts or the engine mounts or the drive shafts, because that's what got this project to this point, is taking it all apart. And painting things made it stall. Also, if you're gonna go this far, who puts rusty brake lines back on? Not me. Then we need some shift linkage so we can, you know, put it in and out of gear and keep it from rolling around. So this is where the shift linkage attaches to. And there should be a pivot point somewhere over here. So let's see if we can't take the stuff from the motorhome and make ourselves a pivot for this shift linkage, because there was nothing here from the factory, as this was a 3 on the tree car. And I think the shift linkage pivot was right there. Maybe that was the clutch pivot. Anyway, we don't have any. So there's the pivot. This is the linkage that goes to the steering column. And this goes through there and over to here. So you want to get this level and then parallel with the axle. Easy enough, right? Let's take this clip out and remove what goes up to the steering column, so that's not in our way. So that sits like that. Pivot's on there. Got this little bushing that's your bearing, and then I got the spring to keep tension on it so it can't walk out of there, and it can move a little bit. That's why the spring is there, because the engine and transmission are rubber mounted so they can move around. So that's what the spring and the bushing's for. So this tab right here where the shift linkage hooks up to, we're gonna cut that off. It's gonna be in a different spot, most likely, and at a different angle and orientation. So we're not gonna worry about that for now. That's a later Mortske problem. So you can put this in 2 ways. You can put it in from the top or from the bottom. We're gonna go from the top for, you know, gravity's sake. Is that in park now? No? That's park. So we're gonna go from the other top. Does it really matter? Yes. Yes, it does. Yeah, we're gonna go from that top. That way if we lose the pin, it shouldn't just fall out. And this arm's already hitting on the frame, so I'm gonna go ahead and cut it off right off the bat. Because that bushing is a ball, we don't have to have it perfectly aligned. We wanna get it as straight as we can. But our steering column's gonna be in here, so that arm's gotta be in there. I wonder if I got a shorter one of these somewhere. Let me go look. Look at this cute little stubby guy. Average. I mean, average. Oh yeah. Steering shaft is about right here. So that should line up pretty good with our linkage. We can move that in a little bit. Now we just gotta steal our spring and bushing off of this one. This thing's way longer than I need it to be, and I don't have any other options for one of these, and I don't have a good way to stamp that socket there. I know you could just take a piece of flat iron and drill a hole in it, but then you don't get that socket. And I like the socket, so let's cut this off. We can weld it together at the length that we need it to be. There we go. Adjustable. Why don't I just cut the ball and socket off this? Because it's at the wrong angle now. Can we put the right angle on it? Frickin' A, doggy, we can. I'm gonna go drill a hole in this. So we got 2 holes to catch when we're mounting because the frame isn't big enough to catch them all. And then we're gonna drill and tap the frame. We could weld it to it, but at least this way, if it's out of misalignment, we can move it. If we weld it, it's a lot harder to move. And that way, if somebody buys this thing and wants to put the factory style linkage on it, they can. You could go buy a low car shifter for hundreds of dollars, spend a whole weekend installing it, adjusting it, and the rest of your life hating it. But this is free stuff, and that's what I like. Free, original. These things got 1,000,000 miles on them and they still work, so let's do that. All right, I'm gonna go drill a hole. Got our fresh hole drilled in there, so we'll mount it with that hole and that guy. Oh yeah, that ain't going nowhere. Now, we just gotta figure out the angle of the dangle and weld that guy on. I think that's gonna do. Where's my marking device? In my ear. All right, moment of truth. Is it all gonna fit? The spring might be a little excessive. Might have to shorten that up. Might not though. Freaking perfect. Spring's a little tight. It's got plenty of play though. Nice. We just gotta get our column in there and then get the right rod with the angle of the dangle hooked up to there. And we'll be shifting. I definitely should have fished this brake line out first. Don't worry, it's still pliable after 62 years. Sweet. Even reused the self-tappers that were going in the frame rail of the van. Budget. Next on the agenda is brake hoses. And then we got to do a little bit of line work. The line going to the T on the rear axle on both sides is missing. And then also we're going to do the same thing up front. We're going to run a line from the right-hand side to a T right here, and this side to the T. And then we'll add our lines to that stuff later. You guys don't want to see me do brake lines and brake hoses, so we're just going to skip through that. We got our brake lines all plumbed up. We got our new hoses installed. Check this out. We got some new old stock Monroes. No idea what they fit, but we're gonna make them fit. A 1964 Chevrolet ElCamino. The Monroe-matic. Look at that glorious blue there. Yeah, these things are good. Made in USA. Those were the days. Guaranteed this thing had air shocks on it when they took it all apart. Probably should have put the bottom end on first, looking back. Got it. I was hoping the kit would come with that fancy big stamped washer. It goes on the bottom over the rubber bushing, but no such luck. Should have done it before and after. She's real bouncy. Oh yeah. It's Monroe good. So I think that's gonna wrap up the chassis part here. I could put the distributor cap on it and plug wires, but I don't wanna bust that when we set the body down. Same deal with the carburetor, could put that all on there, but I'm not worried about that. That'll be easy enough to do because we're not gonna have a front clip on it right off the bat, so it'll be just about as easy to work on that. All the wiring is still hooked up to the existing wiring, so we just gotta find the correct wires in the wire harness and we can hook everything up. I don't think there's a wire harness for the front clip, so we'll have to wire in the lights and the ignition and the starter and the alternator, all that stuff. But maybe that's in one of the totes back there. But anyway, I think we're done with the chassis for now. I did find some manifolds. Looks like that one is the driver's side. I gotta clean them up, put some bolts in there. Passenger side here, I gotta get some nuts off of there, but That'll be easy enough to do with the front clip off as well. So let's get after the body here. We gotta drop the fuel tank, get that cleaned out, see if it's even usable. And then we gotta fix the body mounts. Let me show you what I mean by fix. This is why I hate doing frame offs. Some bolts are a through bolt and there's a nut on the top side, then you just throw all that stuff away and get new hardware or cut it off. But these, they got threaded inserts in the body. And so if you snap them off, you're screwed. If they spin, you're screwed. So there's a good body mount. It's got a threaded insert. We're gonna tap that out, get it all cleaned up so we don't have any problems. Here's a bad one. The mount is rusty. We're not gonna fix that. But if you were doing an actual Bear Johnson restoration, you should cut that out, replace it with new metal. You'd think you could get in at the top side, but no, there's sheet metal over it. This is what it should look like, except there's a bolt stuck in there. Somebody cut it off. So we're gonna have to try to heat that up and get that bolt out of there so that we can reuse that threaded insert. Because if you get after it too hard, you'll just snap the bolt off or you'll make that insert spin. And then you're in trouble. And you can see that's why they rust out, because a bunch of dirt sits in there, like so. So that's what we gotta fix. And then we gotta take these straps off and get this tank out of here. Just standing back here, I can smell it. She stinks. And how many body mounts we gotta fix? 1, oh, that one's gonna be fun because it's flush. 2, 3, 4. Those 2 are good. Good, good. 5 and 6. We gotta get the bolts out of 6 of these suckers. Oh, I don't know how we're gonna get that one out because it's spinning. Great. Ooh, that one might not be so bad. We can put a nut on that one. Nice. It does have a new chunk of filler hose on it, so that makes me feel like the previous owners thought the tank was worth saving at least. That was also probably 10 years ago, and the fuel smells like that. It does look cleaner, so maybe somebody's had this tank out. Hopefully we get lucky. How full is it, and is it gonna drop on my head? Well, if you stand underneath it with your head, of course it's gonna drop on your head. Oh, it's not too bad. Just kidding, it's really full and I'm that strong. Of course it's caught on something. Oh, the ground. Ugh. Nobody died or got covered in stinky fuel. It sounds rusty and maybe. We might have a chance. Here's the sending unit. It's not all rusty. I think it's a newer unit because it's got a plastic float as opposed to the original style, which was a brass floating bulb thinger. And the sock's a little chewy, but overall I think it'll clean up. It's free, it's not rusted up, so that's good. So I'm gonna go dispose of the contents in an environmentally friendly manner, and we're gonna wash it out, throw it back in there.
Shake weight!
Move the shake weight back and forth with short, rapid motions.
It's crazy how the sediment settles out that quick. Looks pretty good. As good as we're gonna get it. Let's check the ohm rating on our fuel center before we put it in there. So that way if our fuel gauge doesn't work, we got an idea why. Looks like 50 ohms, 30, 25, 23. So 3 to 43. Looks like it's working to me. Let's throw it all back together with a new seal. Also, I got some crappy old magnets laying around. We're gonna throw those in there, and hopefully any chunks of rust will stick to these as opposed to going in our sock and in our fuel line and in our filter, in our carburetor, in our engine. Uh-oh, that one's stuck to the top. I want it on the bottom. The new seal's a little girthier than the OG. Ready to go back in. Let's throw a little heat on this body mount insert, see if we can't get the busted bolt out of there. It's fun. So on these front mounts, we got access. We could put a regular nut in there and hold it with a wrench. The case is not the same on the other mounts, so let's move along and hopefully we got better luck. Otherwise, we're just gonna have two front body mounts holding it on. Well, we can't heat that one up because it's already spinning. So we're gonna have to cut an access hole, I guess. Maybe we can just peel that lip up and then put a nut in there from the backside. And that's why it spins, because it's full of dirt. It's all rusty. And there's our bolt, which would be an encapsulated nut, but it's no longer encapsulated. Oh, so close. Should just be able to put a regular nut in there and hold it with a wrench. We'll tap that back down. Good as new. Cover your eyes and mouth and ears. Same deal on this one. We could peel this up, put a nut in there, but it's so rotten, so I'm just gonna cut this off. We'll make a new plate to go on there, and we'll weld a nut inside of it, so that it'll be stronger, and we'll get a body mount on there. Now we just need to make a pattern at the bottom of the body mount here, weld a nut to the backside, weld it up there. But before we do that, we gotta figure out what we're gonna do with these guys. They're fully encapsulated. These are the rear mounts, so kind of want to keep those there. Ones in the middle seem less necessary. What can we do? We could cut it out, do like I was doing on that other one, weld it out on the inside, weld it back in. So that'll work. And the other side is busted off pretty much flush. Or we could drill and tap, none of which sound like very exciting options. Dang, that's a good drill bit. Oh, I had to say something about how good that drill bit was and then break it. We need a drill bit sponsor. Frickin' A. I think we're stuck on that drill bit. This never works. Just probably ruined another drill bit. All right, that was terrible, but it's tapped 3/8 now. A little heat goes a long ways. Way easier than drilling and tapping. Body mount finish, that's gonna be way stronger than what was there. Probably stronger than factory. it's time to set the body on. So time for some body mounts. Something I don't really keep on hand because they're always different diameters, different thickness, different height, all that good stuff. This was the only one that came with the car. What do I got to replace it with? I don't have hockey pucks. We're not a hockey town. There's no sporting goods store in town. And hockey pucks are generally pretty expensive, I've been told. Never bought any. What do I have? 1x6. Roughly the same thickness. We're gonna cut her down the middle, cut her into 2 3/4 inch squares. Bada bing, bada boom, body mounts. We gotta drill some holes in it. It's probably gonna split out, but it's only gotta last long enough to till it doesn't last. And new ones will be there. It'll be kind of a pain to replace them later, but I don't have other options because we gotta get this video out. So let's go get the table saw going. Whoa. We got the wide body kit back here. Okay. The body is set back on, bolts are tightened down. Those body mounts, by the way, are ultra decking or whatever you call it. Don't ask me where that stuff came from, but it's even better than, you know, green tree wood. It's ultra decking, ultra expensive. But I'm gonna put that heater core in that heater box. Well, I guess I kind of already did. Because if you're familiar with GMA bodies, it is a real treat to do it after the fact. You basically got to pull the front clip off. For sure, you got to get the inner fender out, and I think you got to pull the fender. But anyway, we're going to fill that giant void there. We got a new heater core, so we're going to put it in. Hopefully, we get it in there the right way. We didn't take it apart. Awesome, they primed the inside, but not the outside. Ready for paint. Yes, I know. I should be painting all this, but son of a! Also, I had a new blower motor, but I got no squirrel cage, so I mean, we could put the blower motor in there, but it's not gonna move much air. I got the Streamlight wedged in there, holding it up. Be strong, little Streamlight. This is where all those hours of playing Operation and my grandparents paid off. Just kidding. That's terrible with that game. Heater box installed. Hopefully we can sneak that blower motor in after the fact. It'll be a lot quieter without that gaping hole there. Now would probably be a good time to stick a wiper motor in there as well, huh? Wiper motor's bolted up there. He even duct taped the hardware right to it, so that was nice. Speaking of duct tape, they had the spring duct tape to the push rod for the master cylinder. That's what I'm going to tackle next, but this is what I hate about restorations. Somebody sandblasted this and then never painted it, so it's all rusty. So we got to clean that up. The throttle linkage was all in a Ziploc bag, so that didn't get too rusty. For some reason they painted just part of it, but anyway, this is going to be wrong because it's for a 6-cylinder, and the carburetor on a 6-cylinder is off to the side where it's in the center of a V8, so we're going to have to modify that. But anyway, I'm going to go get this cleaned up because we're going to have to adjust it, no doubt. Plus that pin is seized in there, and we got to get that pin out to hook it up to the brake pedal. The spring, I think we're going to leave alone and just cross our fingers and hope it doesn't break. Got our push rod all loosened up. The pin was even seized in there. Got ourselves a master cylinder. This is for a 67 C10. 67 for sure, the dual reservoir master cylinder. This thing would have had a fruit jar, single reservoir. We upgraded to the dual. It should bolt right on there. This thing was a manual brake setup, and we're keeping it that way. We could upgrade it to a lot of things. Power, discs, hydro boost, but we're not. We are upgrading, however, to dual reservoir. Now I gotta go put this in there, get her adjusted up, and run some brake lines. When we do a little bleeding, we should have some brakes. So I just removed this perfectly good, brand new aftermarket column. I Did It is kind of the company that's the go-to, but I think Flaming River makes them, and there's a whole bunch of Chinese knockoffs. This thing's great because it is a tilt column, but the wire harness isn't a direct bolt in for what we got. We need to make an adapter to go from here, a double D joint, down to whatever spline joint we have down there, and then you gotta have a slip joint or something to give so when the body moves with the frame. And then also you gotta have the right steering wheel and the right adapter. So why am I taking this out? Well, because we have to fabricate this adapter on the end to go to the steering sector. We have to fabricate something for the wiring. And most of all, it does not have a shifter. And we would have to go to a floor shifter. And I don't want to go to a floor shifter because A, they cost money. B, you have to cut a hole in the floor. C, they suck. I mean, most of them are just terrible. And D, if you got a bench seat and a lady friend with you, then that floor shifter is in the way. So here is what we're gonna install, the factory one. Because guess what? Factory harness means it's plug and play. If your blinker switch fails, you can buy a new factory one in most cases. These aftermarket ones, sometimes they're a GM one, sometimes there's some made up part that you'll never find. It's got a shifter built into it. Yes, it's for a 3 on the tree, but we can make it work for an automatic. It's not gonna have the detent to lock it in park where you gotta pull it back. It's a risk we're gonna have to take. Bolts right in, so we don't have to make a custom holder for the bottom of the column. And then also, we don't have to make an adapter to adapt it to the steering sector. Bolt in, plug and play, ready to go. Good riddance, bird's nest. No, it's not all bird's nest. This is a rat's nest. But it is a factory harness and appears to be quite unmolested. Look at that, easy install. Plus you get the proper steering angle for your seat if you put the factory seat back in. I know you can put an aftermarket column in and move it to adjust it if you got a bigger belly or you're longer statured or you don't like the geometry, but these ones work just fine. The only thing you should do is put a new rag joint in there, but this one looks pretty good. Almost like they put a new one in there when they restored the front end. Just kidding, it's original from 1964. Steering column is in. Let me show you the beauty of using these 3 on the tree columns with an automatic transmission. So you got 2 options. Look at your shift linkage here. You got this one and you got this one, and either of them will work. So this one gets a little close to the cylinder head, and this one maybe gets a little bit close to the firewall. This one's a little bit longer, so you're gonna get more travel, and this one's shorter, you're gonna have less travel. You can also bend these, you can lengthen these, you can shorten these. They got a bushing built right in them for vibration and such. And if you look real close down there, you can see that shift linkage that I installed. So it's basically a straight shot. I'm gonna go grab some remnants of some shift linkage. I'll do a little fiddling around, see if we can't get a shifter hooked up. So I'm gonna start with the lever all the way up in park or reverse or second, and the shift linkage on the transmission in park as well, and then we'll do some adjusting from there. Beware, however, that there is no brake interlock, so you don't have to push the brake like on late model cars to get it out of park, and there's no detent like on a square body pickup where you have to pull it back before it can go down. So if you have small children, or you're doing a lot of climbing around in the car with it idling in park, if you bump that lever, it can go into gear. So don't wreck your car and blame it on me because you did this. A lot of guys are doing it, but it can happen. So I found a rod that was really, really straight. It had one tiny little bend in it, so that's kind of what we wanted. The straighter, the better. Those bends are to go around stuff. We didn't have to go around anything, but it pushes really hard. And I'll show you why and what we're gonna do to hopefully alleviate that. It's not just stiff. It's stiff as in dry. It's geometry. I'll show you. So here's our cross shaft. Here's our shift linkage coming down from the column. And you can see the angle this is running at. So this is in park, and most of your shifting is gonna be from park to drive in that range. You can get away without having second, first, but ideally we're gonna make it so that it has that, so you know, burnouts. So if you go from park to drive, that's where most of your shifting is done. So if you got 4 detents between park and drive, your middle is going to be between reverse and neutral. So between reverse and neutral, this arm should be pointing straight ahead. And that is where you're going to have the most leverage. So what we're doing right now is we're already starting at a down angle. And so by the time we get to drive, this thing is way down here. Let me show you. So that's drive. And so we got no more throw left because it can't bend around a corner here. So we're going to cut this, change that angle so that between reverse and neutral, it's pointing straight ahead. We're going to also have to shorten this rod because we're all the way maxed out on adjustment. And then we'll give her a whirl. Pew. Check this out. All we did was reclock that shift arm, took 3 inches out of the rod, and I did bend this arm up top just a little bit because it was catching the back of the valve cover. So we got park, reverse, neutral, drive, 2, 1. All the gears, shifts nice and smooth, literally costs nothing. Parts I had laying around, parts you can find in the junkyard, and it's all factory stuff, so it's proven good stuff. It works. It's not some undersized piece of ready rod or angle iron. It's all good stuff. Got the correct bushings. It's got adjustments in it, so if it does wear, you can adjust it. And we got low for doing burnouts. I like free. Throttle's in place. This is the 6-cylinder bracket. It would sit right about here because the carburetor and the 6-cylinder would be over here. So we're gonna modify this thing so that we can get it hooked up to this carburetor here. And then we'll have to figure out a way to attach it to the carburetor because this is set up for a cable. And if we really want to get crazy, we'll have to figure out a kickdown because this bad boy's got an electronic kickdown. They probably make some switch that goes on the carburetor, but if we don't get a kickdown hooked up, that don't matter. We could put a button under the dash. You just reach down and push that, boom, kick her down. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut this and modify it. Duff says, get to work. Put her in the old Wilton brake here. Nice. Now I guess I'm gonna have to probably cut this, shorten it, lengthen it, reconfigure it, reorientate it, clock it, all that good stuff. Honestly, this part really kills me. Grinding this stud off of our Quadrajet carburetor that's so unmolested. No going back now. Don't worry, they make bolt-on versions, and plus we could always weld it back on if we really had to. Come on, little buddy. Give her up. I know you've been on there for 50 years, but it's for your own good. Ah, got it. I think we can even make this original linkage work. It's got some threaded end on here, so we're gonna go ahead and clean that up a bit and get her adjusted, see what happens. Looky there. It's good to go. I did have to move the spring from the bracket that usually would have held it because that was in the way of our throttle linkage. I just moved it to the valve cover bolt. I don't love it, but it should be fine. It's pretty good. We don't quite get full throttle. Like there's a couple of degrees of movement. And that's because this thing is sitting higher than this. So as you're pulling it back, it wants to pull it up instead of pulling it down. So I would have to drill the hole lower on this or shorten it up. Not a big deal. We don't need full throttle anyway. You know, this thing's gonna have way more power than the old 236 cylinder did, but there you go. Could use a little bit of fine tuning, but good enough. Guess what? Original parts, free. I know we don't have a kickdown, but anyway, operator controls are pretty much wrapped up other than ignition switch. I robbed a dipstick from my dipstick Jimmy stash because the van one came out to here, kind of like the transmission one. So we got a normal size one. Let's check some spark plugs. The old Delcos, they look pretty good. So we're gonna run them. All right, let's put some plug wires and a cap and rotor on this thing. These old yellow plug wires. A couple of these boots got ruined because of the high temp silicone that they held them on with, and then the headers, and maybe me ripping them off. Also, this cap is cracked, so let's throw some new stuff on there. Maybe that cap will be fine. Good time to replace it. You know, the more I look at this cap, it'll be fine. It's got a crack, but we just won't drive through any water puddles, right? We don't have wipers anyway, so we'll just avoid rain altogether. Plus, I really like the calf scours. Yellow tan they got going on there. We know it worked before, so it should still work, right? Oh no! Our throttle linkage is going to get into our wiring for our distributor. Well, I wanted to make that shorter anyway so we could get full throw, so I guess we'll have to take that apart, shorten it. Not a big deal. Kind of should have been done anyway, but now it pretty much has to have been done. I could clock the distributor, but that seems like a band-aid. Or we could bend it over, and that might clearance it. Let's just do that for now. Don't snap my weld. Oh, fixed it. We'll worry about addressing the real issue of not getting full throttle later. Okay, number one. Right where it should be. I got some new used plug wires we're gonna throw on this bad boy. I was actually gonna use this cap. It's gray, it's not black, but the carbon tip is kind of burned off. So we can't have that. So there's one. Come off of there. Did they glue all these frickin' plug wires on or what? Oh my gosh. All right. Check back in a minute when we get all these replaced. Ah, well, we're gonna put a new cap on it because I busted it. Not only does it have the flamethrower ignition module, it had the Pertronix flamethrower coil in it. Between this and the headers and the yellow plug wires, no wonder this thing did wheelies back in the day. So one other thing we gotta change is the thermostat housing. These vans shoot straight up. I'm not sure if we gotta go to the left or straight ahead. Also, this one's got a bunch of blue RTV on. It's got this ugly plug, and we're gonna put a new thermostat in it while we're at it. RTV. Gonna clean her up with our SS1 Super Scraper. Get yours at mortskerepair.com. Made in America. Lifetime warranty. They ain't cheap. I had somebody grumbling about the price on them, but he's probably sitting on a $1,000 phone that only lasts 2 years. Doesn't have anything more than a 30-day warranty, and it's probably made in another country. These things are proudly made in Iowa, USA. And we got them at mortske.com. I'm gonna roll the dice and say it's the angled one that shoots it off to what would be the right-hand side of the car. Got a fresh gasket, fresh 160 thermostat. I even lubed that gasket up so that when I no doubt the wrong thermostat housing on it, it'll come back apart and we can reuse it. That doesn't look right. I don't know, we're gonna sneak a hose past that, but cross that bridge when we get a radiator in it. Since we got a fresh filter, let's put some fresh oil in it. It actually looked really good on the dipstick. We'll see, this thing's been sitting for 3 years, so if there's any water in it, oh yeah, there's a little water in it. Uh-oh. I said it looked really good. It's full of water. And there's giant chunkiness right there. Come on. Push past. Just a little blockage. There you go. Push her out. Oh yeah. Woo. Yeah, I'm glad we changed that oil. I mean, this stuff here doesn't look too bad. Oh yeah, that's like brand new. That has no miles on it. It's all the other crap at the bottom. think we're about ready to reinstall the front clip. And by we, I mean Duff and I. I think the hood was making this struggle taking it off, so let's take that out of the way. And then we'll have to figure out a way to sneak that on there. I did pull the front wheels off, so maybe that'll help. Probably not. My back hurts already, so wish me luck.
Don't scratch the paint, man. There's some weight there.
Oh yeah, way easier without Chin here. She's looking like a car again. The factory transmission cooler lines go in the bottom of the radiator, but these should be longer than those, so we should be able to shorten them up or loop them or do something. The battery cables come out the right side and are long enough. Never mind the fact that our battery tray is pretty smoked. And guess what? The headlight harness is in here, along with the alternator harness. So yeah, we should be able to stick that in that hole back there and get some lights working maybe. We won't need the voltage regulator because our alternator is internally regulated. And I think we're gonna have plenty of room for this long water pump, so we don't have to change all the pulleys and bracketry and all that good stuff. God, we might have to get rid of the dipstick because it's higher than the hood. Yep, son of a biscuit. That should be fun to fish through there. Also, plenty of room for HEI distributor, so we got the engine in the right spot for that anyway. I dug this radiator out of my stash. It says 65 to 68 GM with a question mark. And this is a 64, but it measures pretty dang close to what we need. So let's see. Of course, the upper radiator hose is on the left-hand side. For some reason, I put this angled one on there. I thought there was only one angled one and shot it to the right-hand side, but that's the side the water pump comes out. So, sure enough, I gotta go find a different thermostat housing. But look at that, the gasket's still fine. I also bent the transmission cooler lines over, and I think they'll fit right into the bottom of the transmission cooler, so should be good to go. I wanted to check the rear diff, and it was low. Of course, you know, frame off restoration, so you restore the rear end, right, with new ring and pinion, new bearings, new seals, all that stuff, right? No, it doesn't look rebuilt in there, but it's out of oil, so we're gonna put some 80/90 in it. And she's full. Well, I guess if they didn't put grease in the diff, they probably didn't grease all these brand new tie rod ends, so let's do that. Ball joints. Dang, that stuff is DRI dry. Oh, I got the poo on me.
I got the poo on me.
That's what they call the Malibu money shot right there. Dang it, that's my Cowboy Cadillac shirt. Those are no longer in production. Limited edition. Looks like our idler arm. Nobody ever put the grease zerk in there after putting a new one on, so we'll put a grease zerk in there, get that greased up, and we'll be all wrapped up with the service job here. If this coolant was good enough for it before, it'll be good enough for it now. Should have some cheesecloth or something to filter all this debris out, but whoop, there goes a leaf. What are you supposed to filter this with? Cheesecloth? Where do you even buy cheesecloth? The hardware store? The dairy? I'm gonna see if I can't get that leaf before it goes down. Got it. Best bet would be to put new coolant in it, but then what do you do with the old coolant? Parts stores, they'll take used oil, but what are you supposed to do with used coolant? Not dump it down the floor drain. Definitely don't do that. I did plug off the single heater hose port on the intake. The other one was on the radiator of the van. So we got no heater core. We don't need a heater core. because we got no blower motor. Also, you can't get at the blower motor because the inner fender's in the way. So speaking of whoever, price and availability in the video description. As you're aware, I've got a 59 ElCamino, and I would much rather keep that one than this one. Check the video description, it's down below, or you can check out the website, mortske.com, for price and availability on this thing. And then you can hit us up, mortskerepair@gmail.com, and be like, hey, I'm showing up with cash and a trailer on this date. And I'll be like, cool. Don't be like, is this available? Freaking marketplace. Is the ElCamino still available? Do you still have the ElCamino? Does it say it's available in the video description? Does it say it's available on the website? Then yes, it's available. If it's not on either of those, it's not available. And don't be like, hey, can you paint it for me before I come to get it? Did you find the right seat? Yada, yada, yada. I freaking love selling stuff, if you can't tell. I also love that this thing's not leaking. Sweet. Let's address this dipstick tube over here. So instead of going and finding another one and then having this too long one I'm never gonna use around here, or buying a new one, heaven forbid, we're on a budget here. Did buy some new belts and hoses. You know, you gotta have them. We're gonna take 2 feet out of this because we ain't out nothing if we don't get it to work. I've only ever shortened a dipstick once, and I don't know what it's made out of, spring steel, plus it's really thin. It didn't weld very well. If I really cared, I would get the TIG welder out, maybe we could get it. I'm gonna try to just cut 2 feet off of this thing, and then we'll cut a little less than 2 feet off of that, and then we'll put the squiggly bends on there, and the hoop-de-doo on the end, and the little cap, and yeah, see if we can't make one. Worst case Ontario.
In worst case Ontario,
We gotta go grab a different one. Here we go. Let's cut through our plug wires, vacuum advance, and shoot it all into the valve cover. Don't hit the plug wires. What the French is that made out of? Never mind all the sparks we just shot inside of our Turbo 400. We got enough left over for another dipstick. Oh good, it's tight up against the firewall, so it can't move around. So now we're gonna take our dipstick and we're gonna mark it 2 feet down from the top of what I call the cap. And we don't cut it there because then it would be too short. And I don't think this is exact rocket science. If you were plus or minus a ½ inch, it would probably be all right. So the other thing we could do is I could cut this off, leave it a little bit long, and then cut it off here, and then overlap them and weld them. I suppose you could drill them out and put a rivet or something in there too, but I think our best bet is to try to weld it. Maybe my welding skills have gotten better since last time, but probably not. The other thing is, you could cut 2 feet off from this end, but there again, this has got kind of a bend in it, so it doesn't jiggle around in there. And that's got all your marks on it. I know you could just score it with a chisel, but that seemed kind of cheesy. Like we're gonna cut it off long, and then cut this off short, and then we're gonna overlap it and weld it. We'll cut that 6 inches down. We'll overlap at 6 inches. Don't cut it off there. Wish me luck. So many marks. How long is it now? 51 1/4. So if we take 2 feet off of that, it should be 27 1/4, right? Write that down.
Write that down.
Bam, 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 bam. Oh no! I neutered my dipstick, Jimmy. Because yeah, I think this is spring steel. Can you weld spring steel? I guess so. So I'm just gonna overlap that. Well, we haven't TIG welded in a hot minute. Let's give her a whirl. Let's measure it to see if we're, where we gotta be at 27 1/4. Ka-chow! 27 1/4. It's like we knew what we were doing. Wonder how the TIG welder is gonna like all this dirty, rusty, oily spring steel. Like riding a bike, right? Put the Old locking pliers on there to make sure she's clamped together. All right, let's see what we can do. That is way easier than welding it. I think I was probably using a 220 welder the first time I welded this crap. Because I don't think I owned my 110 then. So if you don't own a TIG welder, you can try it with a 110, but no filler rod needed. Bada bing, bada boom. One shortened turbo 400 dipstick. This dipstick now identifies as a 1964 Chevelle turbo 400 dipstick instead of a motorhome dipstick. Just go buy the right one. Except the aftermarket dipsticks really suck. Chrome ones, let's try it out. It was ridiculously overfull when I took it out, so it should still be because the pump isn't running. Also, that's a hot dipstick right there. Of course, it wants to bend right at the end of it. Perfect, ridiculously overfull. Hopefully it doesn't snap off and go inside there. Cross that bridge when we get there. This thing's just never gonna leak, so we're never gonna have to check it, never gonna have to add. That dipstick's gonna be there forever.
Forever.
So now, everything we should need to wire this thing up should be right here. There should be a purple wire for the starter. Let's check. Let's check. A lot of red wires. I'm guessing those are power. Purple wire. Purple wire. Is that purple? That's the closest we're gonna get to purple. Purple wire starter. Green is for the water. Blue is for oil pressure. Neither of which we got. They're for dummy lights that were in the van dash. If you really wanted to get crazy, you could put the van dash in here, but we're not that crazy. So we got the purple wire is gonna be for our starter. Orange. So that's gonna be for our ignition. So if we put key power to this, we should have power to our coil. And if we do crank power to this purple one, this thing should crank over. Let's throw a battery in it and see if we can't get it to fire up. And then we'll have to figure out what the rest of these are. Oh, brown is for the alternator. That tells it to charge maybe. We'll see if it charges or not. And if they got power at them, we should probably do something about that. Cap them off or something. Or use those to run power to the cabin. This week's battery sponsor is McKibben. Wonder if McKibben's the last name? Who knows? You too can be a battery sponsor at mortske.com. Prospective future buyers, put a battery tray in this thing. Maybe this one's not as bad as I thought. Oh yeah, it's fine. Here we go. Probably should have pulled all the spark plugs out. Crank it over and see if there's water inside of those. I mean, should have. We definitely know there's water in there. Here we go. Slingshot engage.
Slingshot engaged.
Not too bad. It still turns over. That's a win. We got oil in it, right? Yep, definitely put oil in it. After the oil change, let's hook up a coil wire and give her some hot sauce. See if it lights off. So much crud in my quadrajet. God dang it. Let's rebuild that quadrajet quick. And rebuilt. Fill up the float bowl. I think it's in park. Looks like it's in park. It's got no rear wheels. Where's it gonna go? Slingshot engage.
Slingshot engaged.
Oh yeah, she gonna go. That'll do, pig. That'll do.
That'll do, pig, that'll do.
Now we just got everything else to do. A whole bunch of wiring for the ignition switch. We gotta finish bleeding the brakes. We gotta find some wheels and tires. Bolt the seats down. Maybe fix a quarter panel, put some bumpers on it, put a hood on it. Oh my. Yeah, we got things to do. Glue a windshield in. Paint over the primer that's around the windshield. Build an exhaust system. That's what I should probably do now. Build an exhaust system. See you guys in a bit. I am exhausted. That took pretty much all day yesterday, partly because the old bend pack got out of calibration, so I had to teach myself how to calibrate that. But anyway, we got exhaust. It's straight pipes, because I figure you can always add mufflers later, easy enough. Speaking of exhausted, no relation, head on over to mortske.com. We got a handful of these The Road Provide t-shirts left. $13.99 for the regular sizes. You big boys and girls got to pay a little bit more, but got a handful of these left, so go check them out because the road always provides. Let me show you this exhaust. So we got 2-inch pipe. This is all factory bends all the way back to here. This is where the muffler would be. I left the tailpipes a little bit longer, custom made my own, and so that's where the muffler will go if we get to that point. I got a little hanger action right there, and then coming out the quarter panel. So there you go. She should sound real nice. Motorhome 350 and 2-inch straight pipes. Just kidding, it's gonna be obnoxious and I'm gonna hate it. And we're gonna have to stick some glass packs on there or something. But hey, we got exhaust. And Chin helped me bleed brakes this morning, so we got all the brake action. Now I'm gonna do some body works so we can glue a windshield in. Before we glue it in, I wanna put a little white paint on that header. And I also wanna put a little white paint on this quarter panel, but it looks like they did a little splice in here and maybe they were trying to pull it out. Anyway, we're gonna smooth that down just a little bit. And then we're gonna paint that in. It looks like there's some filler back in there they tried grinding out. We're not gonna get crazy with that. We're just gonna make it white-ish and not gray. Definitely not the same white, but definitely not the same gray either. Although the Gorilla Tape has held up well for a couple of summers, I don't know how well it's gonna hold up to doing, you know, triple-digit speeds, doing ElCamino things. So let's get that out of there. And I guess why they had the windshield out is there must have been some rust up here. They fixed it. I did get a hold of a buddy who his dad, who is no longer with us, did a bunch of work on this thing. So he kind of knows a little bit about it. All right, I hate messing with used glass. Let's not break it. Let's get all the fuzzies and dirt and leaves out of here. Whew. Feel invigorated. I feel like a body man now. What do we got for whites? This is Walmart white. That stuff covers like butt. I don't know that we want gloss white or pure white, but the Rust-Oleum does cover it a lot better. Let's see what we got in paint cabinet number 2, the Rock Auto cabinet. Looks like a lot of colored paint. Oh, maybe? More pure white Rust-Oleum. We got some Gorilla rubberized waterproof white. That seems like overkill. We don't want this thing to float.
Not only does it stay afloat, but the inside is completely dry.
Rust-Oleum, Painter's Touch, Ultra Cover, Paint and Primer, Gloss. Also bonds to plastic, wood, metal, rust, ElCaminos, Chevelle's, Malibus, and more. Looks like that's what we're gonna try. All right, here we go. Not even close. In the dark at 50 mile an hour, you're not even gonna know what's there though. Now we're gonna let that set up for a bit and go work on that quarter panel. I am fairly certain whoever did this body work did it with a chainsaw and an axe. Not even a stump. No rocks. Just an axe. A dull axe at that. And a chainsaw that ran very poorly. Oh my gosh. Gross. If it's got filler, that means it's ready for paint, right? Wrong. You gotta blow the dust off first before you paint it. You don't need wax and grease remover. Just get yourself some nice condensated, compressed, super wet hair. Now wet hair. Wet air. Nice light, oh crap, we're getting overspray on our fresh tailpipe. That would really bother me. Let's get some painter's tape. We're not half-assing this job. We're gonna whole-ass it. We're gonna tape up the exhaust. That tape is expensive, so we're gonna put a t-shirt on there. That's not bad. Call it what you want. It's not gray anymore though. It's definitely white. And just give it a little time. The rust will bleed through. It'll match everything else. We gotta overspray off our tail light while it's still wet. Just kidding. It's already dry. You know, that ain't half bad. It's only half good too though. Probably less than that. Well, since we're basically a professional at swapping quarter panels, you see how hosed up this guy is? I don't think any amount of Mortske on the English stump is going to get that worked into shape. So thankfully, one of the previous owners cut this quarter panel off a wagon, Malibu, and you can see the, I don't know what it is, D pillar right here. But luckily, it's all the same. I think the fuel filter's in the same spot. It's got the same tail light set up. And then these little covers here will cover that stuff there. So yeah, we're just gonna swap that on there quick and easy like. So I think to practice, I'm gonna go ahead and remove this skin, see how that goes. Because why start with the good one? Anyway, I'm gonna take this one off first, see how it goes. And then we'll take this one off and we'll have a big weld, vertical, but I think we can hide this seam on the top right here. And then we should be able to spot weld it all down here. And then if we're real good, that'll get hidden by the bumper. So really, we're just gonna have the one vertical seam. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Here we go, one quarter panel repair patch. That was the easy part. Now the hard part, we gotta clean up all these spot welds, get rid of all this excess material. It is kind of cool, they put like, I don't know if you call it undercoating, but they coated the inside with this light green paint to try to keep it from rusting out. Clearly that didn't pan out. But yeah, there's a whole bunch of spot welds here, so we gotta get rid of these. Actually 2 pieces of material on the inside, 2 layers, 3 layers total. And then all these ones up here, just 2 layers there. And then this guy right here, just a single layer. Yay, grinding. It appears as we've made the fatal assumption mistake. Assuming makes an ass out of you and me. This lip is 1.5 inches wide on a wagon, and on an ElCamino, it's 1.1 inches. So yeah, this don't want to line up with that. Good news is, it's shorter, so we can take some material out of there. Bad news is, we got to take some material out of there. Also, the good news is, it gets hidden behind that piece of trim, so we can really fudge it up. So I think all I'm going to do is just cut it straight through, and then we'll take that piece that we cut out, clamp it in here, push this over the top of it, and then we'll spot weld this to the existing quarter, and then we'll put a few tacks on the top there, bada bing bada boom, and then we'll cut down this. Should be good to go. Who'd have thought? Different quarters between an ElCamino and a station wagon. Also, we had to kind of reshape that a little bit. So they're definitely a different part number for the quarter panels originally from GM. Okay, back to body work. Great time for the trigger to go out on my Miller welder. Sure enough, no continuity. Would be an easy fix if I just had a switch around here. Well, I mean, I did buy this welder in 2006, 7? So what's that? 20 years old? We've put a few miles of wire through it, so that trigger's been squeezed many times. Can we take it apart? I mean, it's just a switch, just a little micro switch in there. Pivots on that pin. If we can get that pin out of there. See, this is where it pays. Have some mechanical aptitude. Oh, son of a... It's always the spring. There's the spring. It pays to, you know, I wouldn't say be brave, but to have some electrical and mechanical knowledge. Maybe we can fix this on our own. So there's a switch inside of this switch that I'm sure Miller bought from somebody else, and there's some numbers on it, so maybe we can buy just that. Which really sucks, because we kind of need this thing right now. Hit her with some compressed air, test it out. Let's test her out after a quick blowy. So, no continuity, press the switch, no continuity. I mean, I guess we could take the switch inside of the switch apart. Freaking A. I just wanted to burn a quarter panel on. In theory, we should be TIG welding it, but that's going to take forever. You can't even buy a switch that lasts 20 years and tens of thousands of cycles. A couple more pins, but this is like taking apart a Remington 870 if you ever take one of them apart. Same deal. Take it apart with some pins. Clean it all up. This is the part I'm not going to like. We got to straighten these pins out. We're only going to get so many shots at that. And we're doing it in the dirtiest spot of the whole shop. Everything's covered in grinding shavings. Alright, Saya Burgess, come out of there. I got the 2 roll pins out. Ah! I don't think I wanted to do that. I think I pulled them off the ends. There's the switch. I think I got the part number. X4G503K1BB. Now it'll work. Miraculously. Somehow. By me ruining it. Nope. Shouldn't it just be a contact in there? There she's working. Of course now it's working. Why does it work now? Oh my gosh. It's working. Poor little guy just needed to be disassembled and cleaned like the old Remington. Alright, let's test her one more time. Off, on. Off, on. I promise I'll get a new one on order Test it one more time before it goes back together. Still working. All right. There, yeah, let's turn the welder on. See if we get some wire. Oh yeah! Pretty simple actually. You just got this collar up here. And it says to remove, and it shows you which way to turn. So you just push her back down there. Turn it counterclockwise. There you go. Yes! I think we're going to leave this top for the last because it's hidden, and the most critical part is this body line. So let's do that first. I'm going to try the old Fitzy fabrication butt and cut. So what you do is you find the thinnest disc, which is the only disc I got, and you cut right alongside of the other one and weld them together, right? Should have a gap, the thickness of the disc. You could do this with a lot of things. Self-tappers, Clecos, those body clamps, welding clamps, whatever. Doesn't matter, just do it. It ain't gonna be perfect, kids, I guarantee you that. It's definitely gonna be better than the other side, and gonna be way better than it was on this side. Now we just gotta burn it all in, fill some gaps, clean her up, all that good stuff. So we'll see after the elves come in here and finish all this stuff up for me. Not really sure how the Rust-Oleum rattle can is going to cover this green, so we're going to scuff it with some 80 grit first. I don't know how that's going to make it cover any better, but I guess it'll stick better. Makes me seem like I'm more of a professional, which I'm not. Oh, look at that, takes the rust right off. Time for some wheels and tires on this bad boy. So I took the rims that were on it. These are 15 by 6s. I think it had 14 by 5.5s or 14 by 6s originally. And we scuffed them, shot them with some more rattle can black engine enamel because it smells good. New stubby valve stems. 205 75s on the front, partially because that's what was on here, and I assumed that they work, even though they were probably just rollers and it didn't have the weight of the engine and transmission in it before. But you can't get much tire anywhere on this thing, but on the front especially, because you know you got to turn. So and a 235 75 15 on the rear, because you can't get a 255 70 or a 275 60 unless you have the perfect 8-inch wheels. And these wheels were free. A little bit of elbow grease, some rattle cannon, and some cheap tires. UN 100s by Travel Star. Got hand cooks on the back though, because they were cheap. Drum roll, please. The finishing touch, 1964 Biscayne hubcaps. I think you could probably get these on here, but anyway, 1964 dog dish hubcaps. Got these because I thought I was going to put them on my Impala wagon. Never did. I think they'll look right at home on our poverty ElCamino. Let's get this thing on the ground, see how it looks. Actually looks pretty good. It's sitting on the lift, so it'll come down a bit more in the front, which I like. But you can see, she's pretty tight up here. Looks good with the Steelies and the dog dishes. Steelies and dog dishes for the win. And that's definitely the right choice on this thing. She looks good. It's time to put a windshield in. You could either butyl tape these in or glue them in, according to the internet. But I think glue is a lot better. I've never messed with that tape. I don't know much about this windshield glue, but that's what we're gonna do. Son of a brand new tube. Well, apparently brand new sealed tubes of 08693 3M auto glass urethane windshield adhesive have a shelf life. I don't think I bought it that long ago. Wonder how long it sat on the last guy's shelf. I got one more tube still in the plastic, so that means it should be good, right? Let's freaking hope so. I got the goo all over my screwdriver when I stabbed it in there, so we should be good on this one. I said we should be good. Come on now. There we go. Holy crap, that pretty much used the whole tube up. Did not put these grippers in the right spot to do it by myself. Definitely too much glue, but better to have too much than not enough, I guess. Hopefully it don't leak. So apparently, car bumpers don't fit ElCaminos. So we're gonna weld it on because we gotta have something to hold our license plate, and they look hideous without it. You can tell it's a car bumper by the way the license plate flaps up and down to fill gas, and our gas filler is right here. It's got dual fillers. So what needs to be done is just buy the right bumper and brackets. But this will look good for now. To be determined whether you can open the tailgate still. Well, the new body mounts showed up today, but no, we can't take the body off because this bumper is welded on, so that's up to the next person. Comes with new body mounts. Looks so much better now. I haven't shown an after shot of the quarter panel over there. Now we can show that because I got the trim on, we got the bumper on. I got a tail light coming off eBay. Hasn't showed up yet. You know, Elky's really starting to shape up, but you know, I just thought, we haven't heard these straight pipes bark yet, so Duff says he wants something to bark at, so let's give her a whirl, see what happens.
You know, that's pretty good at an idle. Also, I filled up the fuel tank, so let's see if we can't get some fuel over to the carburetor. Got her down off high idle. I can't say I hate it.
You know, I was worried about it being a little bit loud, but if it's too loud, you're too old. It's actually pretty all right. We can always add mufflers later. Or you can, if you own this thing, but I think it's good enough. Good enough to be certified. Certified by Marv's Muffler. Get your Marv's Muffler decal at mortske.com. And also, since we did so much stinking body work on this thing, we did a body off restoration, we did body mounts, we did paint, we did glass, we did bumpers, we did a quarter panel. So it gets a body by Mortske decal. Get yours also at mortske.com and more. Now I'm gonna go mess around with the wiring and try to get this thing to charge.
Oh boy. He's glowing in there. I don't think the alternator's happy, boys.
Sure, it has nothing to do with all this wiring going on up here. Which one do we unhook? That one. Yikes. I see somebody's replaced that plug, so I don't know if that has anything to do with it. But yeah, we should have it wired up right. Power going to that one, that's your key power, and then usually you just jumper that one, so we had that jumpered up here. But it was letting off the smoke, I could smell it, and I knew it was an engine smoke. And then I could see it, you know, the old check engine light glowing in there. So, oh boy, no. Maybe we'll stick a one wire on there or something. So I got this thing off the lift for the first time. And yeah, it was always sitting on the lift. It's got 6-cylinder springs in it. She's low. I didn't even cut coils in this one. It's good. She's right on the ground. So then I went to go bolt in these crushed velvet seats. I think they're 65 Chevelle. Somebody told me, because they fold straight forward. I guess the 63s and 4s fold at an angle. So somebody welded these threaded plates in, and I thought that would line up. It does not line up. Anyway, that seat really bothered me. Vitsy boys out in Bismarck, they were posting on Instagram. He had a seat out of another ElCamino. So he delivered this one for $300, more than I wanted to spend, but I wanted to have the right seat, so we got the right seat. There's the base. It's been recovered. And here's the seat backs in the back of the old F1. We got to put a new seat in that thing. You gonna help? All right. Fresh, correct-ish seat. It's got the headrest, so it's for like a 70, he said. But we're gonna make it work. If we gotta take the headrests off, we will. But first, I gotta take the vacuum, suck the water out of there, because the floor pans are good enough that they hold water, and then there's just a bunch of dirt and other crap in there, so I'm gonna clean that sucker out. Should have pressure washed it. Hey, check this out. The tailgate even opens with our sedan bumper on it. Makes a great bench for putting seats together. Good to me, thank you. Oh, it's good?
Yeah.
You could slide right over next to me? Yeah.
Hey, big boy.
I did take the headrests off because they're hitting the package tray, and also Duff says they're freaking ugly. It's a pretty nice seat. You can see this is the factory stitching, and then this is just the aftermarket cover, custom cover some farm boy did. But anyway, it fit right in. It's way better than it was. I'm guessing this car would have had a red seat originally. Bonus, next time we're going to get one with the armrest. I don't think we've mentioned this mirror. I'm sure it was a neat J.C. Whitney thing, but I think it's ugly, and it's probably not going to work for crap, but
Hey, turn it back the other way.
it's on there.
Oh, maybe keep going then.
Furthest out is no. Now it's going to be pointing down.
Yes, correct.
Didn't you ever melt plastic army men? You know, aim a mirror? Or work on a laser maybe?
No. We didn't have those at the Amish community.
Run, Springer! I did find the A-pillar covers in there, and I think in the back of the car is that trim piece right there, but you can't just pop them in there. Never mind that I didn't put these bolts in, because you gotta have the fender off to get them in there, it looks like. And it looks like you're gonna have to take them out to put the new windshield in if you ever get to that point. And I'm guessing there's clips to hold that in, and you're missing more trim. But anyway. Also, the Fitzy boys that were here yesterday and brought this seat, they know some history on this car. I think it sat in some guy's named Wayne's yard forever before this guy had it, Archie. And, oh, the firewall is smooth. I guess I was like, that looks pretty smooth, but maybe that's why they are. They think that Archie did a bunch of custom work to smooth out the firewall, so cool. And Arch was It's from Hazen, which is next to Beulah, where the early iron rodders are, or were. We'll have to look it up, see if they're still in existence. I'm sure they are. No car clubs for us. We're the lone dogs, right, Duff? Don't push too hard, you're gonna push my glue out.
There's enough glue on here to hold
Hey, shut your K-Call. There is just the right amount of schmoo. It's like DD Speed Shop installed this thing. Perfect. Yeah, keep messing with that mirror, see if it gets any better. Because it's not.
It's in a really terrible position. Like, this is where you'd sit. This is where I need to look at the mirror.
Right.
It's right in the middle.
Let's put it directly behind the A-pillar. It's for aesthetics, okay? It looks good. Let's check this seat out. Ooh, that shut's nice. That is perfection. All right, wiring. So, only acceptable time to use wire nuts in automotive. You stick those in there. Ignition should be wired up. Where's the purple? Oh, way up in there. And then you jam that into the nut. Don't stand behind it or in front of it. Think it'll do a burnout? Did it do both? No. I guess Duff don't want to go for a ride. He's not a ElCamino dog. Just hot wiring a car. Nothing to see here. It does start good. A little cold-blooded on the burnout, but I mean, to be expected. It run for all of 45 seconds before I attempted that. Also, I made no adjustments to the carburetor. We didn't clean it. We didn't adjust the timing. We didn't do anything. A vacuum plug blew off when I was messing around with it, so I put a new one on. That's about it. Pretty decent. Tranny is right there. Tires don't rub. I was kind of concerned about that because that is a lot of tire. She's a little raspy, but not too bad. Got a rattle somewhere. Where is it? It's in the dash. Glove box door? Nope. Oh, I bet it's in that stupid heater box. Brakes are frickin' mint. They're manual, but pretty good. Oh, she drifts like nobody's business? That's the beauty of the ElCamino, is, you know, you can haul stuff like a truck, but you can drive it like a muscle car. And this thing's got a clutch pedal in it. So, if you wanted to put a Muncie or a Saginaw or a T5 or a T56, you could do it. And this thing would be even cooler, but, you know, we only had a week to do this, so we couldn't do all the cool stuff. Yeah, she's pretty good. I think we're ready to take her out on the open road. Front end's rebuilt. Like I said, brakes are all rebuilt. They're freaking awesome. Exhaust is new, loud, maybe a little obnoxious, but it's new. Yeah, if a guy finishes assembling this thing, I got the visors, I got the mirror, I got the gas pedal, I got the gauge cluster. Missing the dome light cover. I'm sure you can buy that though. some wiring. Part of the wiring, gotta get the kick down working so we get all the RV. I can advertise it as having an RV cam. I'm gonna double check to make sure the hood is latched because I'd hate to ruin our used windshield by putting a frickin' hood into it, wrapping it over the roof. Got it, it was on the second latch. Door's shut nice. Oh yeah. ElCamino obnoxious exhaust. Reminds me why I don't put straight pipes on anything except Ford flathead V8s. But you can't roll over and roll your window up on your bucket seat car. Getting rid of some leaves out of the bed. Trying to give you guys some better sound quality by getting the window up, but I think the gear's stripped out over here, or I don't know. It's got to come apart. Got some rattles. I think some sound deadener on the roof and the floor, some carpet would help out with that. Obviously, weather stripping, window seals, all that good stuff. Oh yeah, and plugging the giant hole in the firewall where I have the wires stuffed through for the bulkhead. That would help. Ooh, somebody did a nice burnout there. Two-wheel feel even. 0 gauges, so I don't know if it's running hot. It's got good oil pressure. It's got oil pressure. I know it's charging. And I know it's got 6 gallons of fuel in the tank. I can see the inside of the speedo cable spinning. So the speedo cable's good and the gear and the transmission's good. Oh, we got a dropper in a second. Straight pipe life. It's fun to mess around with for like an afternoon, and then you get sick of it real quick. Especially if you're the neighbors. Oh yeah. Just soaks the railroad tracks up. So I think it sits the height that it does because it was a 6-cylinder car. 6-cylinder springs obviously a little bit lighter, or that's the rumor anyway. And so that's why it sits lower. That's like the biggest bump in the county. It soaked it right up. But it actually panned out pretty well. I do believe all ElCaminos came with air shocks. I forgot about that little known fact. But the Monroes that we hucked on there that were on the shelf probably from when this car was new seem to be doing just fine. Steering is nice and tight. I'm just going right down the road. Don't even need an alignment. Probably should have one though. Yeah, it rides good. It stops good, but it's manual brakes, so you really gotta get after it, which is manual brake things. But for drum brakes that we didn't do hardly anything to, it stops pretty stinking good. Literally all we did was new lines. We didn't do any adjustments. We didn't go through any wheel cylinders. We just put new lines and hoses in a master cylinder and bled them. I think this thing could definitely benefit from a power brake booster. And if you really wanted to get crazy, you could put a disc brake kit on the front, but I honestly don't think it needs it. And it all depends on what you're going to do. If you're going to daily it, drums are just fine. really not that obnoxiously loud until you get after it, especially when you got something next to the tailpipes, like the Camry. Well, we made it 10 miles, so it should make it 100. And if it'll make it 100, it'll make it 1,000. Ah, it's V16 again. No puddles of coolant or oil underneath it? This thing is way too good. It's got a neat stance to it. Kind of checks the boxes because it's a car and it's a pickup, and I like pickups. Is that dust or is that smoke? Did we blow something? I don't see a puddle of coolant. Must just be gravel dust from the city of Coxwell. The other cool part that I like about this thing, it's all factory stuff. It's a factory drive shaft. It's got matching U-joints. It's got all the factory brakes, other than it's got a factory upgraded master cylinder for the dual reservoir. It's got factory shift linkage parts, factory radiator hoses, factory engine mounts, upgraded, factory transmission cooler lines, factory fan. It's all factory stuff. It doesn't have some crappy Mr. Gasket shifter and some terrible flexi hoses and some aftermarket disc brake kit with terrible hardware that's too short. It doesn't have factory exhaust. Throttle linkage is all factory stuff. Factory carburetor, factory ignition, factory exhaust manifolds, no silly headers. Yeah, it's not factory wiring. You could try making this wire harness work. I have pretty good luck with that stuff, but they actually make some pretty decent aftermarket, like bolt-in harnesses, and then it's unmolested stuff, and you got directions, and it's a kit. And it's better stuff. You get rid of the old fuse, what do they got? Glass fuses, and you get some blade style ones. Little upgrade, you know? Let's see if anything's on fire. Oh, what do we got? Little leak from the throttle shaft on the old quadribog. Ah, of course that's wore out. Dang it. Time for an Edelbrock or a bushing kit.
I thought it was low mileage.
Yeah, well, apparently not. That might have been some of the stumble. It could use a tune-up. Some plugs and carb kit or a carb, and maybe adjust the timing. But, I mean, it runs pretty decent. But yeah, there's definitely some fuel leaking past that throttle shaft, so definitely some air getting by there too. But nothing's on fire. It must have been charging because it's still running after 20 miles and the battery ain't dead. Belts are still on it and not very tight. Probably going to want to do something about that. A fan shroud wouldn't hurt, but don't worry about that. I think it was because the chunks of belt that was stuck in the pulley that are no longer there loosened it up. That's what I'm blaming it as. Easy fix. Good to go. So Buff's garage has got one of these. Reached out to him. DD Speed Shop, he just all around likes junk. I'm thinking $4,500. We got a title, ready to go. Just needs finished. It needs a new owner is what it needs. So hit us up, mortskerepair@gmail.com. Be like, hey, I want to buy that car, do not message me and say, I'm interested in the car, because I frickin' hate that. Anything that is a response from Facebook Marketplace, don't say anything about that. So just be like, hey, I'd like to come get the car. Are you available on this date? Bring a U-Haul, bring a trailer, bring a rollback, whatever. You're not gonna drive this home. I mean, you can try, but it's got no lights. And no, I'm not gonna fix any of that stuff. That's up to the next owner, because it won't be $4,500 if I gotta fix all the wiring. So yeah, it's got a fresh seat. It's got a frame off restoration. It's got a 60,000 mile RV cammed 350 and a turbo 400 and new tires, new 2-inch dual exhaust. Hit us up, mortskerepair@gmail.com. This thing needs a new owner. And go check out the 250th Birthday of America shirts that we got going. We got a few of them left, don't we, Duff? So go check those out at mortske.com. If you're watching this video, you might get them on time by the 4th, but probably not. We're doing the best we can. But go check them out, mortske.com. We got all kinds of other merch there. Go check out the other cars we got for sale. Check out the tab, cars for sale. We got ball caps, we got sweatshirts, we got t-shirts, we got screwdrivers, we got magnetic can koozies. Those go great with your barbecue on the 4th of July, so go check those out. Thank you very much for watching. And remember, it doesn't matter how you get it done, so long as you're having fun. This car is pretty fun. I'm gonna be sad to see it go, but I'm also glad to see a motorhome be gone and a stall open in the yard, and we got something that runs and drives instead. So big win. All right, what are we gonna go work on next, Duff? Go finish your Mustang Fastback. I can already see all the comments. Okay, bye-bye. Duff wants pets. Who wants the pets? That's how low this ElCamino is. You would totally smear a Brittany Spaniel all over the road if they tried to hide underneath it. Right, Duff?